What's up, gangsters? Yeah, I'm really gonna need a few drinks for this one. As we'll be taking a look at the works of a mysterious, obscure filmmaker simply known as ctom, or well, sometimes Tom Charlie, although I'm not quite sure where that name comes from, as he's never credited like that in any of his movies. Maybe his books? But focus. Who in 2011 and 2012 made 4 no-budget movies filled to the brim with socio-political commentary, which is all just a complete total maze to navigate through, while trying to figure out what the hell it is he's actually trying to say. So, in order to try and figure all of that out today, I called in the help from a friend, trash connoisseur extraordinaire and proud owner of the entire ctom filmography on DVD, Taylor, also known online as Mundo Videos.
Yes, thank you, Jerome. I'm so happy to be here with you on this journey through ctom.
No, thank you, Taylor, as I could definitely use some help taking on this ungodly task. But before we take a look at the movies, I think we should talk a little bit about the man himself. Taylor, could you please tell us a little bit about how you found out about his movies and what kind of person you think that ctom is?
Well, as you said, I am a bit of a trash connoisseur, and in my efforts to find the nastiest, ugliest, most bottom-of-the-barrel trash I possibly can, I came across the poster for A Song of the Blind Girl. And, well, how can you resist that poster? Ctom immediately became this mysterious figure that I was dying to know more about, but unfortunately, it's really hard to find any information on him. The man himself is about as enigmatic as his films are. He made these 4 movies and then practically disappeared off the earth. It's even rumored that he may be dead, although I don't know if we'll ever find that out. From the content of his films, he does make a few of his ideologies pretty clear. He either practices or deeply respects Muslim religion, and he is deeply anti-Semitic. He also seems to be fascinated with tales of child sexual abuse and kidnapping, although I'm not really sure what takeaways he wants us to get from these. He almost seems to be a proto-QAnon conspiracist. He at least shares their ideas that there is a global sex trafficking epidemic led by Jewish people and that the government and other elite forces are covering it up. But remember, these movies came out 5 years before Pizzagate, and he seems to be okay with children getting kidnapped. Sometimes?
Yeah, so it seems. Oh my god. And yeah, just to be clear, his work is filled with these ideologies. So to prepare you guys a little bit of what you're about to get yourself into, the world that ctom portrays in his movies, like Taylor just said, they run rampant with child abduction and sex trafficking. If you're a girl, you've most likely been sexually abused as a child. Jewish people run the world with ties in government and media and are immune from prosecution. Anyone that goes against them will be labeled anti-Semitic. Government bodies and police are corrupt, get in their way and you'll be charged with child pornography possession. And all of their wrongdoings are covered up by blaming Al-Qaeda, with innocent people being set up to take the hit. And trust me, that's just a few things. Trying to wrap your head around all of it will give you the titular brain melt. So let's just leave it at that for now. So with that wonderful world building out of the way, I think it's finally time to take a look at the actual movies, and let's start with The President Goes to Heaven. Taylor, could you please help us by telling the viewers what this movie is about?
In this case, I'm actually happy to. This is the story of the president who is more powerful than God. Or so says ctom on the back of this DVD. But really, this insane description does pretty accurately sum up the plot of this movie, being that the president is the most corrupt, horrible narcissist history has ever known, who is allowed to create whatever laws he deems fit without having to worry about the other 2 branches of government. After suffering from a massive stroke and falling into a coma, the president is forced to confront his horrific, supposed, war crimes in 111, and his other various abuses of power in order to gain entry into heaven. His wife, the First Lady, is desperate to get him to wake up so that she can get the password to his super secret Swiss bank account with millions of dollars in it.
No, that is a lot of money. I want that money.
That he gained through illegal means, of course.
Of course. Sounds like a jolly time, doesn't it? But before we dive any deeper into the actual movie, I do need to get some stuff out of the way. Because normally when I review these type of bad movies, I spend a lot of time pointing out its technical shortcomings. But since there's so much to talk about with ctom's movies, I'll keep it short. Basically, they're all total amateur hour when it comes to writing, acting, editing, cinematography.
You have so many great, powerful friends around the world. People whom you have made them powerful and you've made them what they are today.
There's no sense of style or atmosphere or anything even slightly resembling a cinematic experience.
Let us continue. Oh, Jesus. He fulfilled verses written in Isaiah.
It's really all just the bare minimum required to get his points across. And what are his points here again? Besides the seemingly general theme of the morally bankrupt and corrupt president, there's so many just throwaway scenes with no consequences to the overall story that are still so wild. Like when they're talking about a 15-year-old coma patient that became pregnant.
Look, the girl was 15 when she was admitted in the coma ward. She was as pretty as an angel, though comatose.
Men will be men. If you find a beauty queen lying there offering no resistance, how long can a man resist?
Or when the first lady wants this Islamic religious leader charged just for saying the word Allah.
In the name of Allah. Amen.
Seize him! Who brought this terrorist in? I want the name of the people that brought him in. I want them fired.
There's so much being discussed. It really feels like ctom just threw as much at the wall as possible just to see what sticks. If it isn't about war crimes, then it's about organ harvesting, and everything is brought up so casually and straight-faced without any hint of real human emotions, which, as you'll soon find out, is a bit of a trademark ctom thing. So, I guess you could describe this as a satire? There seems to be attempts at comedy. For once, the amount of times they bring up the comatose president shitting himself is astonishing.
Wow, what's that smell? It smells like the president just dropped a bomb.
I'm here to change the president's diaper. We need to change the president's diaper.
This room stinks.
I'm here to change the president.
Now you lie in your own poop and piss and stay there for days.
He may not have control of his bowels and bladder and may have to wear diapers.
You were once the most powerful man on earth, and now you poop your pants.
And then there's lines like this.
You bleepin' bleep.
That's kind of funny. The ending is so bizarre. After the president repents and converts to Islam, he's instantly forgiven for his sins and allowed into heaven. Cut to channel 69 News. Get it? A segment that I'm still not sure what it is they're trying to say here. Cut to, and they all lived happily ever after. Cut to an almost 5-minute long, embarrassingly awkward Bollywood song and dance sequence. Then finally, cut to the end credits. All in all, The President Goes to Heaven might be the perfect example of the twisted socio-political commentary that ctom treats us to in all of his movies. And as mind-boggling as it seems, this might actually be the easiest one to figure out what the hell it is he's trying to tell us. Taylor, would you like to shed a light on what you think it is that ctom is trying to tell us here? Or, anything else that I missed upon?
Well, I definitely agree that this is the easiest ctom movie to follow. His politics are pretty clear, at least. This is a searing critique of Bush-era presidency and the 9/11 moral panic that took hold of America.
Let me tell you, for the last time, I had nothing to do with it. I did not plan it. I did not order it. In fact, if I had done it, I would have done it differently. I would have done it in a more believable manner.
He especially is interested in cracking down anti-Muslim rhetoric here. In terms of his filmography, this is definitely the purest comedy of the bunch, and it doesn't feel horrible to laugh at. I mean, the brunt of the jokes are just poop jokes, after all. And yeah, the motivations might not be great here. I mean, ctom is suggesting that if Bush converted to a Muslim, he could be forgiven of all his war crimes. I don't think that's how that works exactly, but okay.
First you said he saw Allah. Then you said he became a Muslim. Then you said he saw Jesus. Make up your mind. Get your story straight.
And of course, there's multiple mentions of Jewish people controlling the world or otherwise being immune from persecution of any kind. But mostly, ctom is just hitting on a very popular conspiracy, Bush did 9/11, while also condemning the rich and powerful.
Yeah, the way you put it, it almost makes it seem like it's not even that bad of a movie. Which it honestly might not be, relatively speaking. Because, 1 down, 3 to go. Oh my god. Luckily, perhaps, with only a 63-minute running time, the next one is the shortest out of the bunch, Lucy's Law. Although that doesn't mean it's any less befuddling. If anything, this one might be the most difficult for me personally to try and figure out. Taylor, what is Lucy's Law about?
Oh boy, I will try my best. Lucy was allegedly abducted at age 11 by Herbert Halibut, who was a previously convicted rapist. Herbert kept her captive for over 20 years, and during that time, she gave birth to many of his children, although the men were immediately killed, and the women grew up to be horribly abused by him. Or did any of that happen? Is it possible Lucy was actually abducted by aliens? But how does that explain her children? Well, even if you watch this entire gripping courtroom drama, you'll probably never know.
Yeah, and that's probably the most frustrating thing about this one. And so yeah, even though this is just a 1 hour long courtroom drama, don't be fooled, there's so much insane stuff here. Some of the reasoning and logic people use in this movie is ridiculous. Like this woman who proves that because Lucy's breath smells nice, she can't possibly have been sexually abused.
So, if her mouth smells fresh, Herbert didn't abuse her. I verified that her mouth smelled fresh.
I don't think it works like that. Or later on, when this guy proves that Stockholm Syndrome is a myth, simply because it doesn't apply to every single abduction case ever.
She did not show any signs of Stockholm Syndrome. There are many other such cases. Wouldn't you agree that Stockholm Syndrome is a myth invented by some hotshot defense attorney?
It's so wild. This movie also very much demonstrates the lack of care for the filmmaking side of things. There's parts where the audio seems to be missing.
Has gone into hiding.
Nice. I also love this disregard for detail.
What do you remember about her?
She was beautiful. Long blonde hair and blue eyes.
What? They use the same actors portraying child versions of the characters, and they have a narrator filling in the gaps. It's all so lazy. Or resourceful. I mean, the more ctom movies you see, the more actors you start to recognize. There's several actors that appear in every single one of his movies, often portraying multiple characters, sometimes, as we see here, even within the same scene. Now, that's impressive. Not as impressive, however, as his attempt to write comedy into a movie about child abduction and sexual abuse, but here we are, where Lucy is taking off her clothes to reveal she doesn't have any physical marks of abuse, but is then stopped by the judge.
I want to see some more. Yeah, I want to see more. Order!
That is so fucking misplaced and inappropriate, Jesus. As is your obligatory ctom anti-Semitism, which, as it usually does in his movies, it comes in the form of having Jewish characters portrayed as untouchable, powerful figures, with people justifiably criticizing them, being charged with insane, unrelated stuff like child pornography possession.
I'll get the sitting grand jury to issue a search warrant to search his house. We'll find something to indict him with.
I agree. Let's go for the usual catch-alls. Bank fraud, tax fraud, in child pornography.
Also, this movie does not end as you'd expect. If anything, it left me utterly confused. But fortunately, we have narrator guy to the rescue.
In the end, nothing was as it seemed, but everything ended exactly as it seemed.
What the hell was that then? Seriously, Taylor, what the hell is this movie?
I really wish I knew. Even after 4 watches, I find Lucy's Law to be the most confounding viewing experience I've ever had. Now, it's possible I just can't understand any of this because I went to public school, so I'm illiterate.
This, in a country where 60% of the population is functionally illiterate.
But in any case, ctom injects this thing so full of wild ideas in such a short time that it's mind-boggling. The most incredible thing to me about this is how ahead of its time it was, with Herbert killing himself in prison a la Jeffrey Epstein 8 years before it happened.
It works every time.
It's very, very bold of him to present the idea that a child getting kidnapped could actually be the best possible thing for her.
The birthdays were soaked in tears.
And that the person who kidnapped her and forced her to have his children is actually innocent. Now, I have no idea what he's trying to say here or what truths he's trying to unveil about society because everything just becomes muddled in the end. I mean, his main target seems to be the corrupt justice system, but you don't really care about any of that watching this. You're way more concerned with what actually happened to Lucy, because it's so confusing. I mean, did she get kidnapped by aliens? Why are people mentioning little green creatures if they don't exist?
Then a green creature appeared out of nowhere, in the middle of the road.
I think the more I sit on this one, the more I think that the confusion is intentional and ctom just wants you to question the information you're being fed. Maybe I'm giving him way too much credit, though.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, he is full of surprises. I'm just not fully convinced that clever and actual subtle commentary is one of them. But yeah, Lucy's Law, ladies and gentlemen. Which means that we're halfway through. And next up we have, it's both of our introduction to ctom, Song of the Blind Girl. It's the only one that I actually have on DVD. I blind bought it, like I ordered it from Amazon because there was no other way for me to see it. And then after Taylor actually hooked me up with the 3 remaining copies, I was like, gotta get those on DVD as well, but I was too late as Amazon had just discontinued its media on demand service, which is how ctom distributed his movies, which happened literally days after Taylor did order all of them on DVD. So Taylor, you lucky bastard, can you introduce us to Song of the Blind Girl?
I'm either very lucky or I've been put on an FBI watch list. Either way, I'm proud to own them. In Song of the Blind Girl, ctom once again asks, what if kidnapping children is a good thing? An Iraq war veteran, who we only know as Daddy, comes home from the war to discover that his wife left him with their children. Like all veterans, he's suffering from PTSD and psychosis, which causes him to enter a vacant home, kidnap 2 young girls, and pretend that they're his own daughters. Meanwhile, the police are investigating the kidnappings as murder, even though there's absolutely no evidence to point to that, nor is there a body. And the police are trying to pin this on the girls' parents through means of coercion, gaslighting, and waterboarding?
Yeah, sounds about right. Sounds like another jolly ctom experience. And even with that premise, I don't know how to really explain this, but I don't know, like this one feels to me the most like an actual movie. I could, however, still in no good conscience recommend this one. I mean, where to start? With this being my introduction to ctom, the first time I watched it, I was astonished by the aforementioned lack of trying. The audio and editing is terrible.
Are you sorry you shot him? You killed him?
A lot of the acting seems to be done by actors just reading their lines from off-screen cue cards.
We have examined all the surveillance videos from the parking lot. We don't see you or your daughter there.
I was there with
My daughter. When I turned around, she was gone. I swear we were in the parking lot. I lost my daughter there.
It's hilariously bad. Daddy kidnaps both girls in broad daylight. The second one while being surrounded by people and nobody bats an eye. And then the movie basically just cuts back and forth between Daddy and the two girls and the parents of these kidnapped girls who are being interrogated and accused of all kinds of shit. And really, they come up with some of the most insane reasoning during these interrogation scenes.
Tell us how she accidentally died. If you say you had rough, kinky sex and she accidentally suffocated and died, the jury will understand that the judge will be lenient.
What? Really, like, throughout these movies it becomes clear that ctom has no idea how anything in the real world actually works. But before I go any further, I do have to bring up the movie's poster one more time. Everyone I've shown this to thinks the exact same thing, and I do not want to spell it out. The thing is though, throughout his filmography, there's no sex or nudity or overly graphic violence. There's barely any swearing besides the occasional
Brandon, you bastard!
But still, there's so many extremely uncomfortable scenes, with the standout one here being when this one girl thinks that Daddy wants to get her drunk and rape her.
If I don't drink, it will hurt.
What'll hurt?
The thing you're going to do to me, Daddy.
But without actually mentioning it, which leads to this miscommunicated back and forth.
The thing you're going to do while I'm sleeping, Daddy.
Oh yeah, that thing, sure. I haven't done that in a long time, but I could do that with you today.
That goes on for way too long, eventually resulting in a jokey punchline.
Yalla por esto, papista. See? I told you it wouldn't hurt.
It's like, what were they thinking? It's almost as if they tried to write in some comedy. The constant mention of dog and girl soup, the constant removal of the phone during the interrogation scenes.
Let me get rid of this phone here. Let me get this out of the way. Let me get this phone out of your way.
I don't know, guys. What I do know is that this movie never goes where you'd expect it will. The twists and turns, they are so bizarre. Unless you've become familiar with ctom's world building, which of course also includes his mandatory political takes. I'll let Taylor go a little more in depth, but among so much more, there's this very subtle take on police brutality, and then towards the end he throws in some casual Holocaust denying.
I'm talking about the big genocide. 20 million survived.
If 20 million survived, who died?
Well, actually, I don't know.
What? And trust me, I skimmed over a lot of the political madness in this movie. Taylor, would you care to fill in the viewers a little bit more of the insane workings of ctom's mind in these movies? What did you make of this one?
Yeah, I definitely agree that this is ctom's most watchable movie, although that's not saying much. Again, ctom paints a pretty vile picture of American politics and government here. In his world, small-town police stations waterboard innocent people over crimes that have not happened yet in order to get them to confess.
Let me out of here! Yeah.
Now look, I'm not going to say that the police don't waterboard people. They probably do. But I find it a little hard to believe that it happens this often or for these reasons. I'm completely perplexed once again by the decision to have a young girl get kidnapped, only for it to be revealed her home life was abusive, so it's a good thing she was kidnapped.
I am not leaving. You are the best daddy I've ever had.
And like, look, there's very real issues that ctom's trying to get at here, but he's pretty misguided, such as war veterans suffering from PTSD. But then showing a man kidnapping two young girls and threatening to murder them every 10 minutes doesn't really paint a sympathetic picture, does it? He also clearly wants to highlight the atrocities of the war by having Daddy recount his time in Afghanistan, where he says he would go into villages, slaughter everyone, including children, and behead them, and give people abortions, and then kill them anyway.
We'd shoot everybody and line all of the bodies up right next to the road, and we'd call back reporters and we'd say, these are the atrocities that were done by Al-Qaeda.
And then he'd call reporters and blame it on Al-Qaeda. Which is all pretty funny, even though I don't think it should be. But the most realistic bit here is that the police shoot someone 72 times for standing there. They then shoot a random lady who was witnessing the scene and blame it on the victim. I mean, at least ctom gets police brutality correct.
Chief, there's a witness. What witness? Get out of here.
And all of this would make for a fine movie if he didn't insert his goddamn anti-Semitic agenda at the end by making the one Jewish person in town a sexual predator who habitually rapes girls and gets them pregnant. Thanks, ctom.
and then the thing that I started off this review by saying that this one, feels the most like an actual movie. But trust me, it's gonna get way worse before we're done. Because I'm afraid it's time for the moment we've both been dreading the most. It's time to take a look at Who Killed Aliyah. Before we started working on this video, this one was without a doubt the one that I was most apprehensive about to rewatch. And it actually took me like 3 nights, like 3 evenings. I just watched it in parts because Taylor, the honor is once again all yours to introduce this one.
This is the pinnacle of all of ctom's wild, raving lunacy. A painfully long dive into the sordid world of sex trafficking and pornography. Aliyah's a young girl looking for work in the fashion industry, but she accidentally ends up at Boss's pornography studio, where she's asked to audition for the movie Gang Bang, Big Black, Little Blonde. What a title! ctom loved that title so much, it's actually the title of the book this movie is based on. No, really. You can buy it on Amazon. While at the studio, she's drugged and forced to perform in pornographic films. Yeah, sounds horrible, right? Don't worry. That's literally just the first 30 minutes of the movie. As the title implies, Aliyah eventually dies, and a detective named Herzog is brought in to investigate who killed Aliyah.
Yeah, this one truly is rough to sit through. At 1 hour 40, it's the longest movie, and with an overly long exposition-based ending, it's pretty torturous to get through. Especially since, unlike the other movies where we usually have at least something else to cut to, here we spent basically the entire movie with this shady adult video company. The first 5 minutes alone are already so insane, with the boss character explaining how the age of consent has been moved up over the years and making it sound like that's a bad thing. Really, this whole review could just be a montage of unhinged quotes from the boss character.
If we can't send her back, we can make a snuff movie out of her. She's gorgeous, but I can't take a chance with her age. She looks awfully young. Take her clothes off, let me take a look.
Did you sleep with me when I was unconscious?
Yes, I did, and so did the entire cast and crew. It is normal practice in the porn business. We have it all on tape. Everybody who was inside you said the same thing. You were no virgin. You were more like a stretched out whore.
There's no end to it. This one also leans in heavily on the anti-Semitism.
Aliyah is too Jewish. We do not use Jewish names in the movies. In this country, it is a crime to call somebody in the movie business by their Jewish name. I will sue you for anti-Semitism.
And of course, since the boss is Jewish, according to ctom.
Besides, I am immune from prosecution. You know that.
This one is wild, guys. And the weird thing here is, as with all of his movies, it's not an exploitation flick in the more traditional sense. Again, there's no nudity or violence, which in a very weird way makes it even more bizarre. Like, he's really trying to say something here. But first, I gotta mention the music. There's this dramatic score that comes in over and over.
Boss, we can't throw her out. She's got no place to go.
That is her problem.
As well as this triumphant one. It's so misplaced and often so poorly looped.
All right. I'll pay you $300 for now, but I will deduct $400 from your pay, including interest.
Basically all of the music, which by the way comes from royalty-free music legend Kevin MacLeod, who is credited for the music in most of his movies. It's all so ill-fitted.
Jose, is Rosie pregnant?
Maybe.
She should get an abortion.
There's also this unnecessary like establishment or what like transition shot that they use time and again, and it's more or less the exact same shot every single time. Also, yes, that's the same house as we saw in Song of the Blind Girl. But hey, maybe I'm focusing too much on the technical filmmaking side of things again here. There's way worse stuff to worry about here. The girls, they all look so young. It's extremely uncomfortable. After the end credits, you get a shot of some of the actors introducing themselves, some with their parents.
Stacy Gessler, mother of Shanna.
I guess to assure the viewer that they were with them on set, which might be a good thing. So, is this movie a commentary on the porn industry? Everything is just so insane. There is really just too much to list. And I realize I've said insane a lot in this review, but really at some point it just becomes hard to describe any of this any other than just insane. Oh my god. Taylor, I'm so sorry I have to do this to you one more time, but could you please help us by shedding a light on the unhinged socio-political brain melt that is a ctom movie?
Oh my Yahweh.
Oh my Yahweh?
I really don't want to talk about this movie.
Oh my Yahweh!
This is without a doubt the most evil cinematic experience I've ever had and probably ever will have. While the description of the movie would lead you to believe it's about the horrors of sex trafficking, it's really just an excuse for ctom to flaunt his raging anti-Semitism. Any points that he's trying to make about how pornography is bad is just given a back seat to long-winded rants about how the Torah promotes pedophilia and how Jewish people can escape from any type of persecution, and just how nasty and slimy the boss is.
Oh my Yahweh, you were still in the record books. 18 inches.
Now, for about the first hour of the movie, everything is so jarring that it's at least interesting to watch, even though you're probably only watching it in pure horror. But this comes to a screeching halt in the last 20 minutes, where we're instead treated to this really long, really boring, back and forth exposition dump between Herzog and the boss, which you unfortunately have to sit through if you want to get to the plot twist. Oh, and just wait until you hear ctom's theory about global warming.
Well, I have a theory. The global warming theory.
Don't worry, I won't spoil it for you, because I know we just sold you on watching the wonderful movie that is Who Killed Aliyah.
Yeah, I'm sure we did, Taylor. So, there you have it, the entire filmography of ctom. If, for whatever reason, you still haven't had enough, like I surely mentioned at the beginning, he also wrote a ton of books, but that's subject for another time. Or well, maybe never. Again, just to make it extra clear, there's so much insane political discourse going on in all of his movies, way more than we were able to touch upon. Really, like, these movies are something else. And I've been meaning to make this video for a long time, and honestly, I feel like I wouldn't have been able to do so if it wasn't for the help of the wonderful Taylor. So, Taylor, thank you so much.
It was my pleasure. Well, kind of. I mean, I could have gone my whole life without seeing Who Killed Aliyah again, but, you know, as nasty as ctom can be at times, I really do think these movies are marvels of cinema that need to be seen to be believed. And we left so much unspoiled goodness for everyone who's curious about these movies, so definitely check them out. I love talking about trashy crap like this, so if you're interested, check out my social links in the description below.
Nice. Again, Taylor, thank you so much. And that brings us to the end of this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I mean, I can imagine it must have been quite the ride if you weren't familiar with ctom, which I'm sure most people weren't. But I still just hope that you guys got at least some enjoyment out of all of this. Be sure to follow me on Instagram for, just in general, but also like for updates regarding the channel, since you know, like I don't post that often. And what the heck, while you're at it, give me a follow on Letterboxd as well. Then see you guys next time. Cheers. Have a nice day.